This story was uploaded by Reddit user BingBong1234. It's been one of my favourite scary stories for quite a while, and it also contains video evidence. I've been waiting a long time to tell the full story of the Whistler. I also have video evidence. When I was about 8 years old, I was taking my dog for a walk through the neighbourhood with my mum. It was maybe 11 PM. We live next to a swamp, wood area on the edge of our neighbourhood in Lansing, Michigan. I remember it being very silent and slightly windy. From down in the swamp we heard somebody whistling at us. It sounded sort of like a bird, but each whistle was different enough where the lack of consistency made it human-like. The whistle sounded higher, then lower. I can't really describe it. My mum had a concerned, slightly terrified look on her face and grabbed my hand and said that we should go inside quickly. I didn't understand because I was too young, but seeing my mum freak out made me freak out too. After a while though, I kind of forgot about it. 2 years later, I was taking my dog out again late at night. There is a large bush that could easily obscure a person behind it, just next to the front door. As I was finishing the walk, the whistling noise started again. Same pitches, same inconsistent human-like tones. As soon as I heard it, a chill went down my spine as I remembered exactly the feeling of seeing my mum, terrified, looking down into the swamp at something I couldn't see. Maybe she couldn't either. I ran inside as fast as possible. Years went by and I thought about it less and less. I told only a handful of people and it eventually slipped from my mind. Fast forward to last summer. I'm 24 and I started dating my girl, Sarah. We moved out to South Dakota for work. For Independence Day, we decided to go and watch the fireworks along the Missouri River. There was a free camping spot behind a hospital where you could pitch your tent, hang out and see the fireworks up the river. We were near the end of the campground and there were very few people around us. As it was getting dark, the fireworks began. They were pretty far away to say the least, so the illumination they brought was very little. Thus, we had to sit right at the edge of the river to be able to see them. A huge thunderhead was moving in and a storm was imminent, so the air seemed electric and the wind was picking up. The atmosphere was eerie to say the least. The police boats herded all the other boats off the river. Most of the other campers walked up the river to have a better view of the fireworks, but Sarah and I stayed back and were drinking PBR Tall Boys and kicking it. Suddenly we heard the sound of a paddle methodically dipping into the water. We saw a figure steering a canoe about 20 metres offshore. Sarah decided to go and get more beers from the car, leaving me alone to stare at this mystery person. And then, of course, they whistled at me. My entire body was frozen and covered in goosebumps. It was the exact same whistler from my childhood, more than a decade earlier. I looked at the figure, but it was much too dark to discern who it could be. When they were perpendicular to the shore from me, they stopped paddling, turned the canoe to face directly at me, and whistled right at me. I was so frightened I stood up and shouted at them, "Who are you?" They didn't say anything, just whistled a couple more times, turned the canoe 180 degrees, and paddled out of sight. I'm a videographer, so I already had my camera by my side and was taking a video of the fireworks. As the canoe was almost out of sight, I grabbed my camera and got a shot of them whistling as they went away. When Sarah came back from getting beers, she was very confused as to why I was so freaked out. When I explained, she was freaked out a bit too. I was convinced we would both be murdered that night. How did this whistling person follow me after 14 years all the way to South Dakota? Was it a coincidence? Why was it the same whistling noise? Who was that person and where did they go? So many questions still unanswered. To this day I'm more afraid of being outside in the dark where I might hear that whistling again. The following video was uploaded by the user as evidence of the incident with the whistler.
You whistling? Is it you? Stab it.
If you enjoyed this and would like to hear more scary stories, please consider subscribing to the channel. I will be uploading scary stories on a regular basis, and please, sleep well.